I saw you when you got out the motherfucking. Put my shit back on this fucking porch. Yeah. I saw you when you got out the motherfucking car. You tried it. Put my shit back on this motherfucking porch.
Sure.
You done lost your motherfucking mind. You don't come up on my shit and take my shit.
You got it.
You lucky.
You got it.
You lucky.
You got it.
Motherfucker. You see this motherfucker just tried to take the car?
I text you. Did you take the plan B? No. I forgot.
Wait. I'm not done. I'm not ready yet. Rewind. Wait, let me do this better. There we go. Let the DJ go. Let the music go. Rewind. This. Mm-hmm. 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 Wait. All right. Enough of that. What's good, everybody? This is Chaos Rain here, and welcome to another edition here in the Chaos Rain channel. As you know, I go by the name Chaos Rain here. I had to say it more than once because repetition is key. And before I begin this stream, a quick note. The normal attention span for the average human being is under 5 seconds. That is no good. You can't absorb or retain any form of information that will stay and stick in your subconscious mind, brain, etc. So the mission for Chaos Rain is I'm here to raise your attention span. I'm here going to make sure that you break that 5-second threshold because God knows your attention span is very much alert and it goes beyond the 5-second threshold when you watch entertainment, sports, media, and all things that have no usefulness in your life. So that's a side note. So now, if you are new to the channel, welcome to those that's new to the Chaos Rain channel. And those that will be new in the future, welcome too. And for those that want to know where to find me, you find me on YouTube, Chaos Rain. Make sure you hit that red button and hit that top notification bell for all uploads, live streams here on the Chaos Rain channel. Also, you can now find me on Twitter at Chaos Rain 7 and add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Rain on Facebook. And I also have a Discord service, which is on the About section on my page. Check it out. So, and let me remove all of these things in my studio. So what is the discussion for today's stream? And as I'm looking through both devices, so you're going to hear some feedback. Let's look. Okay. Today's subject is titled, Give Him What He Wants. I think this is going to be a 2-part stream, potentially, depending how far I get through this. And I will try to get through this in the time manner I'm at right now. There's no guarantees I'll go through this because this was done by another unique live stream. Let me turn out. And the funny thing about all this is this, that a lot of women always think that, men are supposed to cater to them in all fashions, etc., which is nice. It's wonderful. But really, ladies, do you give the man what he really, truly wants? Now, I'm going to run some audio clips here of a particular stream. And as you listen in, the one particular lady had a little issue with another content creator, unfortunately, which I guess they were trying to expose, for lack of better terms, and it actually failed miserably. But she came back again to have another conversation to another gentleman, which I should probably reach out to him. I would love to have him on and have this conversation because it seems like the man is very articulate and he is very respectful on his own channel. So no further ado, I will give commentary to this. I'm going to be bouncing around between devices. So bear with me as I'm trying to find the particular one. And let's see if I can hear this. I'll give my commentary to this, and I'm probably going to pull up the DJ set and find the record. So no further ado. Oh, and let's be honest. Ladies, you do not give men what they want by default. But it'd be wise to do know what men want and give him what he wants. Let's see if this is the one. We're going to run this and run some audio, and then I'll give commentary.
Play sounds. Okay, so why is it not showing my name? That's great.
Why is it being slide?
Let me see.
How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. I'm excited about this.
And I'm probably going to fast forward this a little bit, guys. Let me see. No, I'm just gonna run it.
I'm excited to meet you. I think this is going to be a really, 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 really good conversation. Before we get started, is there anything you want to mention, say, shout out?
Yeah, I'm going fast forward. That's just irrelevant.
Willing to engage in that because, you know, that was something that was happening in the public eye. And I heard all of this, you know, usual misinformation about it. So I was just like, you know, I'm happy to hop on a live with somebody and explain why this documentary is problematic. Okay. Gotcha. Normally I'm not in people's chats and stuff like that or on panels or anything like that. But I had a content creator reach out to me to have a discussion like this. Then on the same day, he just didn't show up. He just decided not to come, and I was just like, okay. Yeah. And so then the next time he sees me, and he's safely in the comfort of his echo chamber, and now he has words. Now you have words. We were supposed to have a conversation like this, Obsidian, and you didn't.
Now, y'all know who Obsidian is, but I think the woman that y'all hearing, her name is Miss hashtag Black something. And I'm not sure what conversation her and Obsidian supposed to have, but anytime Obsidian doesn't really show up to anything, there was no proper negotiation of the terms of service because, as you know, the old man doesn't just pop up anywhere. If it's something that, let's say you want to have an interview with him, it has to be in his favor where he's able to get not only your side, but also his side. And that's how, from what I'm taking, that's how Obsidian rolls. He just don't jump on anything unless it benefits him. And not only that, no false claims and rumors are spread about him, from what I'm taking. Let's continue.
Name dropping. Okay.
You asked me for the interview. You reached out to me for that interview.
Yeah. So before we get into like how we got acquainted, I want to understand your channel. Like, so I read the about page, I watched some videos, but I want to hear it straight from you. What inspired this channel? What is your mission? What are you trying to do exactly?
YouTube or popular content creators are responsible for what's happening. No, this space is old. I've been aware of it for a long time, and I ignored it for a long time. And we've been quiet for a long time, a very, 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 very long time. Black men had like a good 6, 7, 8 years to get this out their system, to be on YouTube, you know? And it's like, you know, it's like, it's a bit of a retaliation. And a lot of times people are wondering, like, where are all these angry divestors coming from? Why are they so, you know, it is a retaliation. Okay,
guys.
Now, I'm not willing to engage in that because, you know, that was something that was happening in the public eye. And I heard all of this, you know, usual misinformation about it. So I was just like, you know, I'm happy to hop on a live with somebody and explain why this documentary is problematic. Okay. Gotcha. Normally I'm not in people's chats and stuff like that or on panels or anything like that. But I had a content creator reach out to me to have a discussion like this. YouTube or popular content creators are responsible for what's happening. No, this space is old. I've been aware of it for a long time, and I ignored it for a long time. And we've been quiet for a long time, a very, 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 very long time. Black men had like a good 6, 7, 8 years to get this out their system, to be on YouTube, you know? And it's like, you know, it's like, it's a bit of a retaliation. And a lot of times people are wondering, like, where are all these angry divestors coming from? Why are they so, you know, it is a retaliation. Okay.
Now, to let y'all know, the term swirling divestors been around just as probably longer than the so-called Black Master that was created by 3 gentlemen back in 2015. The funny thing about this, because I had to do a background check and know people that knew about certain spaces a little long, and maybe go as far as find videos if they still exist. But we could probably conclude that when they talk about manosphering, whether from the white side or the black side. The black side has only been around and exists now, moving on roughly now 7 years now, since 2015. Now, this lady has, in the same discussion with this gentleman, is posing that the black master as a whole has been around for 20 years. And if that was logic, it would make sense they would have had this long time while YouTube was still in this infant stage. But really, when we look at the track record of YouTube as a whole, you don't see track records of men, talking about men in many, many channels. You start seeing now for the last few years. And some of the people that even consider themselves talking about women in a bad way, black women especially, those are only a few people that just started to take YouTube to another level, which is a very small percentage. One of them I'm here always pointing around is from what's the name, Willie P. I don't know if it's Black Ram. And yes, we'll name content creators today in this stream just for educational purpose. And one they call Tommy Sotomayor, but he was not really master. He was a man that created something that most men emulate and follow to today's I'd call broadcasting. So no, this space, the black master, has not been around for 20 years. It's been around roughly 7 years. But you have to be very careful when people put out information, because I can't just run out and say what was existing this long. I have to be very clear. Because any person, if I said some stupid shit out of my mouth, it'll be dumb and redundant. Yes, and true. Sad life for us with no goes. Yeah. So, this is just for clarity. Now, I'm going to keep running it, and I'm probably going to skip through this because I want to get to the meat of the matter of things.
Now, my channel, I'm not like other diverse channels. I'm a little bit different. Like, I prefer to have conversations, not streaming matches. And I also want to help Black women to go where they need to go and do what they need to do and do what's best for them.
Okay. So the name #BlackWomen, like, break that down. Where did that come from? Why did you decide on that being your name? Because
that's what everybody puts when they're trying to pop off on YouTube.
Yeah.
When they're trying to get on. when they're trying to get on, they use #BlackWomen.
Now, for education purpose, if y'all, Chris, you must understand when you put hashtags on your videos, it says specifically that it does not give a greater chance of people finding your videos. And that's something from YouTube Academy will tell you this. This is something that it'll tell you directly when you go in your studio and you create your video and give a description and all that. It says specifically. Now, I've used hashtags now since last year. And now, thinking back, it really is to put it out there, but it doesn't really help the growth of your channel in the long term. And trust me, people, I see people put crazy hashtags on a lot of their videos. I think one particular gentleman that I guess he posed himself as a Hebrew Israelite and was, I guess, shaming men for giving money to other content creators. He has like a total of maybe 16 hashtags. And some hashtags don't make sense. But like I said, people think that this helps your channel, and it does not. It has no effect of making it a possibility to make your channel be seen more or your videos. So y'all can continue to put the hashtags if you feel comfortable doing it, but it's not going to help the growth of your videos or your channel. Just a side note.
I knew I was going to use this name when I watched this one news. It was this, what is it, the Black News Network or something like that, with I forget the guy's name. But basically, he was covering a story on prostitutes with HIV, and for some, like in the title of the story, it was Black women spreading HIV. Which is there's a lot of Black women in the country. Okay, and this was specifically prostitutes in Florida. And I'm just like, why do you have to put #BlackWomen in a story about something as specific as in a specific location? There's plenty of Black women that are not prostitutes. And it's just like you use that hashtag to get the attention. And it looks like the real title of the story is basically, you know, throwing Black women under the bus, making it look like we're spreading HIV, and that's not even the story. And I'm just like, yo, everybody does this. So like, I forget the some news network or whatever that was doing that, but I see it all the time. Every time somebody want to get on, hashtag Black women.
So you feel like I'm gonna throw me in there. You feel like we're scapegoating Black women for economic benefit, or like what exactly you think we're doing?
Well, who's the girl who Tila?
Now, that's a direct question, and I want y'all guys to understand and follow this good. You see, when it comes to us and them, if we can't answer the question, we say, I have no answer. But when we get in simple questions or direct questions, that's either yes, no, or I don't know. And I think the problem with having these discussions, we're not being direct and honest of giving the answer to these questions. Now, if a woman asks a man the same question, he'll give you an honest answer. He's not gonna scapegoat that. But you notice when we deal with our women or the sisters, what you want to call it, they like to go around, beat around the bush a little bit. Say, well, no, it's a simple question. I mean, in school, we go to school and the teacher, professor, etc., ask us questions, and either we know or we don't know. We don't beat around the bush for a grade, and that should apply in life. Anybody asks a question, there should be, by default, answer. But let's keep going, and I'm probably going to switch gears here after this question.
Tequila. Remember this? Yeah, this Asian girl. Black are bald and cursed.
Okay, yeah.
You know where I don't know what Black woman did to her. I don't know. It's you.
And the funny thing with Thai tequila, I see this little short, little tight Taiwanese. I think she's Thai, really Thai woman. Mind you, she's going by the Bible itself, the same book that most Negroes don't fucking read. I got the Bible, I don't read it, but they get in their feelings when somebody's reading sections of that book. And you get your feelings. So if you say you're cursed, what does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? But I know our people are more spooktism to the Bible, and I think this is the reason why they don't read the Bible and really understand the literal word and not take it as gospel or reality, but to understand the written word itself or why they said this. Even back then when they was telling a story, it's supposed to lead on to a story that will lead to a scenario of somewhat of life, from what I'm getting at. So if you curse, if you got baldness, is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. But because women take pride in their hair, especially our sisters, they go as far as they will do anything to keep hair on their head, including using another entity's hair or an animal's hair on their head. Which, like I said, most dudes, if you listen, ladies, we advocate keep your own hair as best as possible. This eliminates all problems. All the little crazy rainbow hair and all that, that's unnecessary. Just to have your hair as puffy or what they call braided or even dreaded up, that would be good enough. Because God knows it's easy more to maintain that than constantly keep spending money on things where you have to keep replacing, or it'll do damage in your head or your hairlines or your follicles in due time.
Usually something, it's like if you were talking about something that involved Black women, that actually included Black women, that this is a discussion about Black women, but usually it's just some random. This is not even a story. It just looks like slander. It's just usually some slanderous stuff.
Okay.
Now, mind you, she said talking about the hair and your curse is considered slander, which I did not know that was new. Which the same Thai tequila, and I think she lost her channel because of this. But I'm thinking, say, if she's reference to the Bible, I don't know, because majority of black people believe in the Bible. Now, are you saying most black people take a piece of pics of the Bible, or they find it as rubbish? That's the question every black person should answer. Because be cursed, that's a deep subliminal message. And if you are divine by the creation of God and you think you're blessed, you don't worry about people telling you that you're cursed. Last time I check. From no racial person, from a black person or a non-black person. What she said should have been irrelevant to a lot of black women. But like I said, black women take pride into the things that they don't want to maintain or have as their own. And other races of women will take full advantage and attack that with a smile in their face. They mess with your self-esteem issues every fucking day. As how you accept it is determined how far they push the needle or the buttons to push your buttons. So I'm gonna stop this audio here because we're gonna move forward. And now I'm probably gonna open up my player to continue this on. That was just a section. I'm only doing a subsection of this. And make sure you like the stream if y'all can and share this if you can. Let's run. We're going to move forward. Let's run forward.
So for those of us who do not do that, and for those of us who try to understand, no. What I'm asking, for those of us who try to understand, what can we do better?
I don't see enough, honestly, to even get to that answer. I do not see enough at all, or any really at all, of black men that try to understand. And honestly, if you support somebody like KS, there's no way you could be trying to understand. There's no way. This is some of the things that he has said about black women. Are you kidding me?
Why do you think I support Kevin Samuels?
Because he's in the title. This is your godfather. This is your godfather.
Actually, Kevin Samuels referred to himself as the godfather, mind you. He's not everybody's godfather. He refers himself as the godfather to let people know. That's why certain people give him by his acronym, the Godfather. And I wish I could play that Godfather sound. Yeah, I wish I had that. I wish I had that sound bite. Well, don't worry, guys. It's coming. I'm soon start have sound bites on here. Just wait and see. Just wait and see. Hold on. Let's check this out. All right. All right. I'm just looking at some things. Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Brother, right?
No. So
you call him that.
Full transparency. So this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I did a video. This had to be in like October, right? And the title of the video was "Is Kevin Samuels a Necessary Evil?" And in that video, me and a friend of mine were having a conversation about, the whole black male, black female dynamic. We touched on Kevin Samuels. I asked her, why do you think he's famous? Do you think he makes any good points? And we had a pretty good dialogue. It was like an hour video, still on the channel. And up until that video, the most views that I had gotten on any of my videos was like 200 views after 5 years. Like, it was bad. Now, when I started understanding SEO, search engine optimization, one of the things that the search engine liked in this video was the name Kevin Samuels.
See that? And mind you, this is the algorithm that most of them pay attention as content creators. When we do certain things, we're testing the algorithm, see which one works and does not work. Or I should say, which works and which that does not work. Now, to answer the question, which I don't know if she answered the question, is he a necessary evil? My answer is yes, because he has buzzed and created a greater conversation between black men and black women. And that's how most people are looking for, or say better words, anticipating. Because, like I said, what we do as people, we consume media, relationships mostly, as most of our consumption throughout the digital space. If I do a poll right now and know what people like to watch the most, I guarantee relationship will be up there if it's not the top of the list. Because Black people want to find ways to get with each other, or like I said, take advantage of each other, for lack of better words, and get something for nothing, unfortunately. And it's sad and wrong, but that's how we move. That's how we roll. Let's keep going.
So I thought to myself, because I have a marketing background, I work in tech now, but I thought to myself, how can I elaborate on this? And that led to the series Kevin Samuels started this conversation. You brought up before that I called him the Godfather. That's his nickname. It wasn't like I'm saying he's the Godfather. It's just, Kobe is the Black Mamba. LeBron is the king. You know what I mean? That's how it was to me. But no, I don't, I admire his success. I don't agree with some of his methods, as I hope you can see in the, 20 minutes we've been on and 30 minutes we've been on. That's not my ministry. There are no sound effects here. There's no round of applause here. It's just conversation. So I'm curious what your questions for me are. As a Black man, as somebody who reveres Kevin Samuels, what are your questions for me?
Do you think Kevin Samuels is going to help Black men? Do you think this is helping Black men?
Answer, no. And that's a straightforward answer. And the reason why I say no, because majority of Black folks, i.e. Black men, don't seek or want any help in regards to what they do in their own lives in the 21st century. How we know? Because he coached and he focused is so devotional content on men for the last 3 years, up to 2020. Since 2006, or actually since 2017 up to 2020, he focused straight on men. Men's image, what they should do, etc. And we could say it's a failure, but it was a failure nonetheless, because majority of men today, if they had a father in their life or not, they don't understand how to move and act in this new environment, which is socially engineered for mostly control and demise of men in the Western world. You have policies put in place to deal with and hurt men's pockets and possibly physically hurt them if they're not careful. So like any man, you have to know how to maneuver. And I think a good portion of the male population have not made the conscious effort to adjust and adapt. So that's my answer. Let's keep going.
So I think that's a really good question. The first Kevin Samuels video I ever saw, I didn't actually know who he was, right? So I had to be in college, right? And I was trying to figure out how to tie a tie. I didn't know how to tie a tie. So I was online. I started watching suit videos and the whole nine. So I was watching people like Jose Zuniga. I was watching Alpha M Image Consulting. And then this Black man popped up. He was sitting in it had to be a Mercedes because it had peanut butter seats. And the title of the video was something like Black Men Have to Do Better or something. But I clicked on it, and he was talking about how he just left a corporate event, and a white woman thought he was the help. Even though he was dressed up in a tuxedo, he's like 6'4". He was talking to one of his bosses, and a white woman asked him to go get a drink as if he was one of the help. And he was also talking about how he looked around the event and he saw very successful Black women, but he didn't see any Black men. It was him, the wait staff, and maybe one other dude. So the entire video, he's talking about black men. We need to be in these events. We need to be at the governor's ball. We need to be at these art exhibits. We need to be at these corporate events because these black women are here and they're by themselves. Later on, come to find out, that was Kevin Samuels. So this was pre-average at best. I didn't even know he had a following at that point. It was just a random video that popped up on.
I don't think he had a following at that point.
Yeah, he probably didn't. So like that was my introduction to him. For most people, it was average at best. When I saw the average at best video, I felt two ways, right? First and foremost, my background is in marketing, media, and a little psychology because I work in UX design. So the first thing I thought is, I want to see the full clip. Most people don't think like that.
And you know why most people never think like that? Because the attention span of the average Negro. Remember, the attention span of the average Negro is under 5 seconds. That is no good. That is no good. That is no good. That is no good. I don't sit there and conclude and find little snippets that's under 20 minutes, under 10, whatever minutes is. Even go as far as under 5 minutes to take as the gospel and the whole truth. May they help them, God. No, I don't do that. I go find the actual video and watch it from its entirety. Especially something that got 1,000 or even pushing 30 to 50K views with so many likes and dislikes back in then, 2 years ago. Anytime you get a video that's pushing and being viral, like the one he did back in the end of 2020 of December, it would be inherent for you as a person that has some brains, common sense, to go find the actual video. But like I said, most beings, especially ladies, they don't go back and find the actual tape of what led to this. They go into conclusions. They go into the poison, or like I say, the disease. Never know where the disease start or come from. It's very unintelligent. It's laziness, and it tells you that you're very triggered on little snippets without using your common sense, your rational brain. And I think most black people, especially black women, need to start doing that. Let's keep going.
People make decisions based on clips, but I was like, I want to see the full clip. So when I saw the full clip, I was like, this guy's talking to her crazy. Like, damn, he's mean as shit. When I saw the full clip, it kind of made sense. And as somebody who's produced things before, as somebody who's been in leadership, I understood his frustration, especially being, I think Kevin is like a 54-year-old black man. He's tired. He's tired. The patience is a lot thinner than somebody like me. I'm nowhere near 50. So,
side note, Kevin turned 53. Now, there's some things floating around throughout the internet that this man might be potentially 57. But at the end of the day, the man is 50-something years old. He's an older, mid-age, or halfway age black man, nonetheless. Oh, damn. I did something wrong, guys. Sorry. I think I might have did something wrong. Hold on.
Your best video. I felt two ways, right? First and foremost, my background is in marketing, media, and a little psychology.
Sorry, guys. Let me do this.
When I saw the full clip, it kind of made sense. And as somebody who's produced things before, as somebody who's been in leadership, I understood his frustration, especially being, I think Kevin is like a 54-year-old black man. He's tired. He's tired. The patience is a lot thinner than somebody like me. I'm nowhere near 50. So again, is that how I would have gone about it? No. And that's why I do the videos that I do in the way that I do them.
What about, because
let me just make one last point.
Okay.
So I say all that to say, I think, number one, when you go back on his channel, he started out talking to black men. He was talking to black men for 3 years. Black men, we need to do better. We need to do better. We need to do better. Unfortunately, that message is not provocative enough. That message.
Now we're getting somewhere.
You know what I'm saying? That message.
So now we get in the meat of things. Okay, it's not provocative. So what is gender wars? Going at each other, either respectfully or not respectfully. And not only that, let's be honest. I said this on the last live stream that it is safe to talk about and attack black men because it's profitable, it's safe, and there is no unfortunate consequence. So, you as a man, if you understand why the ladies do what they do, for even now or even years ago, it makes sense. If they focus on themselves, women talking about women, attack women themselves, it's not profitable and it's not feasible. No matter how way you go about it. Now, there are very small content creator women that are able to go at their own women and have done it successfully. But that's the exception. That is not the rule. If more women were doing that, just like certain men were going at men, you're not getting much of a push. You're not getting much of a clickbait. And you might cause more problems amongst your platform going that route and going hard as we see it today. All right.
This doesn't gain you any traction. So unfortunately, and I think you make a good point, when he had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to say something negative publicly about a black woman. So yeah, hopefully he's able to get back to what he loves, which is image consulting. But for the time being, we are paying him with our attention. So,
and to give you the answer, he is an image consultant, and he's still doing it even now. Even back then, when you see him do his streams, focusing on the ladies, he still image consult men on the side, which you're going to have to pay, fellas and ladies. For his time, you're going to be paying roughly almost $1,000 an hour with this man. He's not cheap. Let's keep going.
That's where we are.
And everybody always brings up that he used to talk about men first. And honestly, I don't want this whole conversation to be about Kevin Samuels,
sure.
But like, he is undoubtedly, of course, he would come up at some point. But everyone always brings up how he started talking about black men, and he started, the correction was at first for black men, and he doesn't do that anymore because it's not popular. And what is popular is the blood sport. That's popular.
That's true.
Taking a woman's head off for being a single mother and making 6 figures. Oh my God. That needs correction.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think we've gotten here?
Jealousy. I think it's jealousy and envy. I think that if she said I'm a 35-year-old single mother and I work at Walmart and I make $7.25 an hour, where can I find a high value man? Most people would probably call her delusional because you're extremely, you're at a very low paying job. You're not in any sort of position. It's like, it doesn't really matter what black women do because this space isn't quite this space is not really, I don't know. They don't really go in on like gold diggers. It's the other way around. It's women that make their own money. That seems to be the black man's biggest, problem right now. Make a woman that is okay financially.
Well, we can go any further. Today in the modern era we're in, and we're now in the stage and the rise of technology or techno age. Really, truly, women been making their own money now for decades now. Last my check. And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. Because one thing, as a person, you want to be at least self-sufficient as best as possible. I mean, not saying you don't need someone, but you should be able that you should be fine. That anything happens, you're okay. I mean, think about it. What's the purpose of a lot of you ladies going to school? Are you there just to go to school, just to, get a job, or trying to be somewhat sufficient enough? So that way, if you do come relationship, and something happens, you should be fine. I think, because that's what I'm hearing with a lot of ladies. A lot of ladies say that what's going to happen to the man, which they're right. There's always going to be something happen, and your lady should be able to have the brains up to know what to do. I mean, school helps in a way, but usually when you're outside school knowledge and you're more self-sufficient in learning as you go, you probably go further, in my opinion. But like I said, for those that's intimidated, I mean, a lot of men's been telling these ladies, we're not really concerned too much about your money because that's not our money. So let's go.
I'll do my best to explain, because I've had this conversation with my sisters. I've had this conversation a bunch of times, but this is what I hear as a Black man. I think that an unfortunate number of our women expect to be graded on the same curriculum as our men.
Okay, I think I found the section. So this is what ties into, do you give the man what he wants? I mean, and I might have to probably do a part 2 possibly, depending on my time. We shall see, but this is where I wanted to start off.
So what do I mean by that? When I'm talking to a new girl, right? Like when I'm dating or whatever, and I go to my group of friends and I say, hey, I just started talking to this new girl, bro. She's great. She's awesome. This, and that. Can you assume what the first question that they ask me is?
What does she look like?
Exactly. What does she look like? Because men are simple. Men are visual. Men are very, very simple. All that stuff, her accolades, her achievements, the fact that she is just made partner at a law firm doesn't matter. It's what does she look like? Because the curriculum that we use to evaluate women is different than the curriculum women use to evaluate men. On the flip side,
I understand that.
On the flip side, when I'm having a conversation with a group of women and, they're single, and I ask them, why do you think you guys are single? And they inevitably say, my friend over here, she's a doctor. This one is a lawyer. This one runs her own 6-figure business. Unfortunately, those things would make them great men, but they don't move the needle for men. Because again, the curriculum for men and women is different. Now,
yes,
going back to the average at best girl.
Yeah, and those are things, if a man has all that, that makes him even better. Now, does it make him a better mate? There's no guarantee. But it makes him better that he has the accolades that he could potentially support a family and possibly other things. But when we find a woman like that, it's like you're doing things like, unfortunately, that a man normally would have, unfortunately. But, like I said, in the free world we live in today, because they give us the illusion that men and women are equal, which I don't know what that means. But like I said, if we go there, this is we're equal type of thinking and rhetoric that we see ourselves in and see potential problematic things. But let's keep going.
She assumed that these things that she's achieved that would make her a better potential male candidate makes her a better potential female candidate. And unfortunately, it actually works in the inverse. Do you disagree with that, or do you see?
I understand that, but that actually goes right into what I mean when I say that people I'm not gonna say people, Black men don't try to understand Black women. You don't try to understand, as if the overwhelming majority of Black people in this country are not born poor, are not born in poverty, and do not come from nothing. I think that our achievements do mean more than than like an average woman that, I don't know, didn't have to overcome as much. So Black women do take a lot of pride in being able to get above the line of poverty and being able to like provide for themselves and not being reliant on the government or not.
Well, we go back again, self-sufficient. Just sufficient that you don't have to worry about too much things. It's not hard. It depends. Some people have to work on it eventually, but it's not something that's too difficult in the long run, you know. And like I said, in the West, depending on what you're doing and what you're trying to attain or achieve, yes, having these things are nice, but by default, it doesn't really make you a better mate for the opposite sex. Because usually, like biology, if we want to go there, we always look at said man, say, you know, how well she looks. Now, mind you, the imagery kind of says on another stream, well, a lot of these women going out the way getting these surgeries and these BBLs, etc. They know what it is that men are visual and they like things nice. But when I think about it, when you get these things, you're not getting just any man with BBLs and all that stuff. That is for a certain type of a racial man. When we talk about other groups of men, they do by default prefer the women a little smaller. And anytime that woman gets big, they already got them through what they call a marriage, and they've been together for a long time. There's difference. Big difference.
Not being broke or being able to just at least move out of the dangerous zip code that they grew up in.
Sure.
Okay. And I, even to the point where, you know, your degrees don't matter. I don't really know if I believe that. I don't
believe that. I don't think that. So to clarify, I don't think degrees don't matter. What I'm saying, because the majority of the women I've dated are very well educated.
Oh, let me see this. Okay. It's not even about the sex. I am missing out on kissing, hand-holding, relationships, companionship, affection. Yes, and like always, Psycho Candy. That's some. If you desire, you always got to ask yourself, brother, what you want to attain and achieve that. Because let's be honest, we said we want these things, but are we really taking the necessary steps to hopefully get these things? And it comes back to the action portion of things. Companionship is wonderful. Kissing of it'd be nice. But you always got to keep in mind, brother, which woman that you, if you really are putting yourself out there, desires the same things that you're seeking. If you want to leave a comment, please do. If you what woman you think on the average desire that from your understanding or from what you have experienced so far. I think you're about to be 23 of the little years you've been on this earth. I'll be waiting. Let's keep continuing.
For me, I can't date somebody who's ignorant because this is how I talk on a daily basis. I'm this guy, right? However, two things happen. Number one, they assume that, or very well educated women assume that that level of education makes you a better catch in the eyes of men, and it doesn't. The second thing is, in my experience and in the experience of a lot of men, unfortunately, a lot of men, women who are that credentialed tend to be very disagreeable. They tend to be very combative. Now, these things are awesome in corporate America. They're awesome in the law firm. They're awesome, you know, in sales. They're awesome. But in the house, that's tough.
And that's one of the biggest issues a lot of men face with the modern woman today, especially depending on what education background or institution she works at. She can be very combative to the point that she carries that over to the household. And let's be honest, you can't have two bulls butting heads. I mean, it will not work like that. Some people say you need a strong so-called woman, right? Strong black woman. And say, no, we don't want no combative woman. If you're going to be combative, it should keep to a minimum. It should not be where it's an ongoing thing, where it's an everyday thing. When it comes to everyday thing, fellas, I mean, you have some decisions to make. I'm just telling you, but let me see it. I see Psycho left another comment. Let's look. There are folks out there that don't have to really take any action. Even when actions is taken, it means nothing if the other person doesn't feel the same. Yeah, and that's the one thing. But like I said, it is the role of you as a man to really find out that woman that has the same desires what you're seeking. I mean, there's no way around it. And I'm not saying there's no woman out there that can have the same things that you are seeking, but like I said, it's like, can you have to really, you see, one thing, what we lack as people, we lack communication effectively, in my opinion. Because let's be honest, if you say this is what you desire, right, and you tell this woman, she should have the reciprocal to either say yes or no or something else. And right there, you cut them off. I mean, because let's be honest, you want this and you desire this, yes. But does she feel the same way? And usually both of y'all should be clicking. Now, normally it should happen naturally in a natural world, but we live in a very artificial world today where everything is more, what do you call what's the best way to say it? I don't know what to call it, but we'll say this. It is more artificial or made up creative in a way where people are more moving like drones. There's no communication now. There are things that if I'm not seeing face to face, is better. I like to communicate you through a cell phone, a tablet, a laptop, or a desktop. I want to have that type of non-verbal communication. It's safer, so I cannot get to know what you're feeling or what what I'm feeling. It's more comfortable. And I said personally, screw that. Get out your comfort zone. Meet, interact, face to face, conversate. These things make us whole as humans. Once we start losing that, we become serious machines that can be programmed in any fashion for somebody to simple push up the button to get us move and dictate by the behind the systems. Let me read another question. There aren't women put there that have the same desires as me. If there are if they are there, they'll need to make it known. And yeah, and that's what's well known. But like I said, you're in a good spot, brother, because very few brothers admit what they really want and their desires. It's very hard to get out what a man's desire and what he's seeking and what he really wants. That's something we don't really talk about much as men. But I think we should be more vocal now because it's a necessity now. Because ladies are always going to be asked questions, what do you want? And we're going to give them what we want and we tell them what we want. And keep it simple. Men are not hard, ladies. We keep things simple. If we were more complex, things don't get done. Anyway, let me keep going because I want to get through this.
Okay, so.
And that's all men are really saying. Now, they're not as articulate, but that's what they're saying.
Here's the thing, and here's why I disagree. And this is also where divest comes in, because to a successful man, yes, the choice is his. He can go for a very credentialed, successful woman, or he can go for a girl that works at Starbucks. The choice is up to him. Yes. All right. But a lot of successful men are with successful women because money stays with money. Money, money matches with money, and that keeps the money multiplying instead of dividing. Okay. I think this whole thing where these women are not valuable, especially to Black men, I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it.
No, I don't agree with that. If anybody had said they're not valuable, I disagree with that wholeheartedly. As a matter of fact,
you're saying though, like
no. Let me try to rephrase, because as a matter of fact, one of the most feminine, agreeable people I've ever met makes twice as much as I do, and I make six figures, right? So it's not a you make a lot of money or you're very credentialed and you're disagreeable. What men are saying is that those women tend to be disagreeable, and the other thing is they tend to lead with their credentials. And for men, that comes off as combative.
Those type of women are disagreeable when they are dealing with men that are not able to compete on that level.
Now, this is where she makes a great grave error, sweetie. You're not supposed to be competing for men. I mean, no, you're not supposed to be in the same competition as men. Last time I checked, men supposed to compete with other men. Once you fall under to the masculine side of things, so you compete with men, you got some problems. it is what it is. Some men will. Last time I checked for social media, internet have been telling ladies this. It's nice to achieve it. It's one of them. It's a brother. Miri. His name is. I don't know his name. I can't. I got. There's a brother that has his own podcast, and he had a conversation with Miss Blackwoman. The hashtag one, I think. It's a hashtag. Yeah. So they're having the conversation, and I think it's per se, and they're having a nice little cordial conversation. So let's sit back and enjoy the show. But before I continue playing, let me see if Sakani wrote something. I am not in a good spot. I am 22, soon to be 23. Yes, with no relationship experience or experience with women. Most people have sex and relationships since 15. I have to play catch up. I mean, it is what it is. Psycho Candy. I mean, a lot of us, we get the opportunity to be in relationships at that age, and some of us have not. Are we missing out? Yes. But is it something that to really die for? No. Not until the modern era tell you should not be dying for. But it's good to have conversation and develop those skills a little bit, if you can, with certain women. Not all women deserving relationships, Psycho Candy. I hope you're aware of this. Not every woman deserves a sense of relationship. Because some, by default, are not worthy. Even a short term or long term. Just how they behave and carry themselves, they're not really willing to get any form of relationships. And as you know, the environment we see today that a lot of dudes that's going through women like that is crazy. Let me read the next comment. Either play catch up or find an older woman or just forget about finding a woman on my level after a certain age. Yeah, but you got to understand, women today, it's like Kenny, it's like anything. They will challenge you. I'm hoping that they don't make or break you as a man, young man. You must understand what's out here, what you have to offer, what you can provide. And if they can't accept it, then by all means, they should move on, brother. You should not be trying to hold on to any certain woman for any certain time, because let's be honest, a lot of women today, brother, will waste your time. And like as men, we should not be investing any time and energy for any woman that will waste our time, because time, like anything, is something that is very valuable and we do not get back. And trust me, there are women out here that will take the little money and time, your male attention time, just to feel that they're validated by a male figure while they go behind closed doors, fucking suck behind your back. Yes, I do understand. I do understand you very well, brother. I understand you. That's why I'm not really chastising or criticizing, because I understand well. Now, all's not lost, but like I said earlier, it's what you want and what you're seeking, what you're willing to do. The one thing I'm hoping, pray, if you don't take this and know this, become your older brother, that you should never give up out here. Give up. Never hang up. Always be, as man said, I'm going to keep going forward as possible. Hell, I got Amiri on in the background in the chat room. This man's married for over 20-something years. I think over 21 or 22 years now with children. And trust me, he has his experience with the ladies. But even me and Mary, because we're born in the same generation, we know that as men, nothing's guaranteed in life. Nothing's guaranteed that you're going to make a lot of money, and there's no guarantee you're going to have successful relationships. But we work through these things nonetheless. And we make it work. And if it doesn't work, we move on and find something else. We keep it simple. All right, let me keep going, guys, because I'm already I think over an hour into this. What's good, Queen?
When you are with a man that can compete on that level, it is disagreeable.
Well, I wish that was the case, right? So speaking from my experience specifically, that's been the case. And even in situations where I was more credentialed than the woman, I was far more credentialed than the woman. The disagreeableness was there. In another case, when she is more credentialed than me, in some arbitrary case, she felt like our conversations had to be now the thing, if I was a combative individual, that'd be different, but that's not my ministry. So if we can't have a civilized conversation, then we have nothing going on. But what black men are saying is that an unfortunate number of us are having these experiences. Where do we go from here?
I find it very hard to believe that all of these, like, do you think that most black men, especially the men that hang around in the manosphere, are six-figure earners like you?
No.
So I just find it very hard to believe that all of these black men are meeting all of these six-figure, high-earning black women, and they just can't get along. Like, I just find that very hard to believe that all these black men are just like, oh my God, these rich women are just so hard to get along with.
No, so I'm not saying all, because I actually take it upon myself when I have time to read the comments. And what's heartbreaking is a lot of the men that comment on my videos are married. A lot of the men who comment on my videos are divorced. A lot of men who comment on my videos, my second largest viewer base is like 44 to 54. Like, these aren't little boys, right? And they are saying the same things. And unfortunately, if this was about, women that I deal with romantically tend to have these characteristics, that would be one thing. They're talking about the cashier at the grocery store. They're talking about the black woman I just walked past on the street 2 seconds ago. Like, they're talking about the delegation of black women. And for me, I'm telling black men, step your game up. I'm telling black men, the better you do, the less you have to tolerate from your employer, from women in your life, from your friends, from this, from that. But they're still coming back and saying that I'm doing all these. And I'm speaking from personal experience as well. And I'm still getting these things. Like, one of the things that's heartbreaking is when a woman sees me, just off top, before I open my mouth, before I do anything, unfortunately, she sees something very similar to what a white man would see. A criminal, no good, N-word.
And that's the society that we live in today, brother. Unfortunately. And the reason why I say this is simple. Hold on, let me do this. Simple. It's because you have no position here in this Western world we call America. And when they see you as black man doing good enough, they see you as a nigga. It is what it is. Only thing a black man could do is keep pushing on, keep striving on. Now, one thing I like about him is he said that even with he tell the brothers that you can't complain, you gotta either do better or shut up. Especially if you work for somebody, you have no choice to do better. Now, if you work for yourself, all you have is you have to do better or you don't eat. So no matter what you say as a man, you're not going to escape this. And this is why I think most content creators men should need to start expressing to all other men. As a young black man, right, you're in your 20s, going on to your 30s, or even older. Mediocrity and being what they call either below average or even trying to achieve higher average, you're not going to escape performance as a man. You're going to have a double strike on you because you're a black man in this American world we call the first world nation country, America. So you have to either show and eventually prove for not only for your own self-preservation and self-survival. Think about this, brothers. Why do you think you see so many channels dedicated on shitting on black men? Because they know say you're not gonna do anything possible to turn this around. They're gonna love, and mind you, if you think you're gonna turn around, they got some things in place to continue to knock you over. And you should love it and expect it. Not only in America, but outside America. I don't give a fuck what you tell me say it's bad. No, as long as you got this black skin, this phenotype, this nappy hair, this good hair, you're never gonna escape it. So you must do what is necessary. And it's not most popular saying this, but I must say it. And I wish more black men says to every young black man or men their age. Because it's getting real goofy out here. The games we play amongst other black men with each other. It's ridiculous. Other black men will use you black men for profit and gain. Even go as far as they might destroy you if you're not careful. Other women will use you as profit and gain and go as far as even destroy you. I mean, I think they said there was one particular non-black woman did something to another brother that's not from this country. It's sad, but it's possibly expected. Because they look at you as enemy number one. So they're going to take full advantage of find ways to destroy you. Well, actually, before they destroy, they're going to suck your blood. And after they suck the blood, they take the body. So I hope that it was clear. Learn it well, respect it, and move accordingly.
And it's like, I'm that until proven otherwise. So the paradigm starts with every way that I could potentially be dangerous, I could potentially be ignorant, I could potentially harm this person. And then the conversation goes from there. So there's no good faith on both sides. So as I'm telling black men, level up and start assuming the best of your women and the women you attract and navigate the conversation from there. Other conversations aren't necessarily holding women to that same standard. They're just saying, hey, go find you somebody who's more agreeable. Find you somebody that you don't have to navigate the intricacies of their black experience.
Wait, before I continue, I see something from my wonderful friend, my wonderful Queen Virtue. Yeah, support the channel if you can. And please, I will love y'all support. But she wrote here. Hold on a second, guys. All right. Let me read this. And thank y'all for y'all patience. Queen's Virtue says, Psycho Kane, I'm 33 and I'm still have never been in a relationship that was serious. This is more common for our generation than some realize. You are definitely not alone. And one thing, if you must understand, Queen of Virtue, and matter of fact, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to probably put this in the private for you, Queen. Let's see. I doubt you're gonna do this, but I'm gonna put it anyway because I'm a woman. If you want, you could check your social media. But I'll have to agree with Queen of Virtue. You gotta understand, Queen of Virtue is a millennial and you're a Gen Z. Two different generations, but still suffer the same issues we have out here in regards to finding relationships. Let me read the next one. No woman at your age. If I still have no experience with women, okay. I know I am not alone, but it certainly feels that way. And the funny thing, and you gotta understand Queen Virtue, it is somewhat a little different for certain men. Not saying that it's not impossible, it's a little different from you back then, even now, to what Psycho Candy's going through. And that's why it's hard for him to relate, unfortunately. But like I said, earlier I said, and I'll say this again, relationships are like anything, you gotta seek what you're looking for, and you have to know what you gotta do to get that. and not play around with it. But let's keep going with the tape.
So why is it that Black men think that Black women seem more feminine when they're with white men?
So I think it's two things, because, I'm a history nerd. It's like psychology and then history for me. And first and foremost, I think it's a Eurocentric standard. White is right, black is bad, right? So in that Eurocentric standard, on that power hierarchy, white men have perched themselves at the top of that power hierarchy. So it's easier to think the white man is just inherently a man, whereas every other kind of man, particularly the black men, have to prove their masculinity. The other thing, too, is I think that our women, unfortunately, give, and I said this the other day, our women give white men and the LGBTQ community more latitude in human expression. As a black man, you have to be a certain archetype. You have to be the pseudo masculine fairy tale guy, right? You have to be thug and sweet and corporate and a whole bunch of things that contradict each other. Whereas a white man, I already think he's a man off top. You see what I'm saying? So part of the conversation black men are having is like, yeah, it is. You're pigeonholed into a box. And again, I'm talking to black men who are worth a damn. I'm not talking to the Pookies, the Ray Rays, and the Dusties. I'm talking to the ones who are actually doing something with their lives. And these are the experiences that they're finding. So what do you think it is? What from your perspective, what do you think is going on?
And I'll go in further to the brother. It really boils down to self-hatred that will lead to self-defeat. And what self-defeat leads to self-annihilation or short-term deletion. As you understand the psychology of black people and psychology of other groups of men or other race of people, it is inherent to change your psychology of how you view yourselves and what is up, what is down, what is right, what is wrong, and what is good and what is considered evil. It's a sort of backward state of mind that they have conditioned a lot of black people for the centuries. Both of us, not just one. And I tell you, I'm expanding on this, that it goes further than just the men. And look at the woman as well, play as, because you and him are one, not the separate or apart. Anytime you get into schisms where you're separate, you lost, and you are put yourself in a much deeper trick bag. So to expound on what the brother said, he says things that is considered on point. But we had to go further that, yeah, look at that. You look at yourself as a black man and this white man, and compare that you are less than that because the world conditioned and treat you and you accept it mentally, which leads to the physical actions of your movements, that you are inferior and you're no good. And it's expected that you're inferior and no good because they have trained you to be like them under a black body. Black people, as much as they want to keep in, I'm gonna keep reiterating, you look at yourself as the epitome of evil, no good, bad. Black is ugly. You're evil, you're dark. You're the side of the devil. And the white people are the ones that's supposed to bring the light, the purifications, bring things into clarity, the intelligence, etc. I remember I was listening to one Clubhouse conversation, and one stupid lady that was a swirler, unfortunately, how she views that if a man don't got this degree, he is worthless. She falls under the spell of the trick bag, that she views intelligence in regards to getting a college degree. And to me, it shows you are very much stupid. And not the example of people that got a college and are still dumb. The point is that you hold yourself as being the highest form of intellect is through their institutions that they control and run to make you work for them. Instead of you creating and building your own form of institutions. which is not really what we call something that's known around us as people as a whole. So thinking and knowing that she is one of many sisters that think that if her man is not so-called educated by the white man, that they still complain about that he got the mind of white man, but like I say, you got the mind of white man as well. Where do you think it comes from? You'll give the same grace to the Caucasoid than your brother for a little effort. You view the little scrawny, no good Caucasoid that might be a nerd as a man than this typical black man that might be the same counterpart. It's bizarre world, as I like to look at it. Unfortunately. So let's hear her response. And before I go, let me see the comment section again. So Kenny, how much experience with women do you really need though? Many men have experience with women and are still clueless. Same for the women, still clueless, even after all the experience. And that's a very good question. I hope you give a response, like Kenny. How much experience do you need? Let's see what you write. Queen Virtue, I only need and want one woman that likes me for me. Okay, that's cool. Let's keep going.
For one, I just do not see because black men as a collective, they are not on the, and I know you say finances and all of that. That doesn't make you a good woman, but black men collectively are not financially like there right now. They are not doing everything. There was just this report that came out just this year talking about black men and the unemployment rate of black men.
Sure.
And the homeless rate, and you would combine that with the homeless rate and the non-educated and the incarcerated, and all of those things make black men a collective, just not marriage material.
Sure.
It's just not marriage material. And I do not buy right now. Like if black men collectively were mostly a man like you, right? If that was the collective of black men, if that's what they mostly were, and not necessarily all have to be six-figure earners. Okay, this six-figure thing has gotten way out of control because it's not even realistic. It's not like, I don't know where this six-figure number came from, but I just mean just like doing well, employed,
Sure.
Holding a job down, all of those, like, being a good citizen type of stuff. If black men was collectively what black men was doing and the image of black men, then I could take some of this critique a little bit more seriously. But I just can't sit up here and listen to, well, I'm doing everything right, but black women are still so masculine. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. Where, how are black men doing all of this stuff and we don't see it? How are black men doing all of this?
So
to answer Queen's Virtue's question, where the six-figure come from, it came from some Asian cat years back. And I think during the age of when Ronald Reagan was in office, you probably wasn't born at the time, Queen Virtue. I don't know if I remember much of Reagan back then. But it's showing that, how can I say it? That six figures was something that they brought about during the reconstruction of, let's say, the money and what's considered how you doing well in America at the time during the 80s. But remember, after the 70s, going to the 80s, we were going to what would they call a financial downturn in some aspects, and they had to redefine what is doing well in America. If y'all remember, and y'all could probably look up some old documentaries or maybe some old books on this. And if you remember Queen's Virtue, or anybody would know, they said the average median income in America back then and now, if you fall under this, you were doing fine in America. But we all know in certain states across the country, if you're making this a year, you are barely getting by. So the illusion of this six figures came around that same time. And I think one person wrote a book on it, talking about it in detail. But let's be honest, the six-figure thing that wasn't created existence. My fault. has been a created existence now roughly 40 years. And usually it should be updated to the amount of how much after taxes, all that stuff, and certain cities that you're not really a six-figure person in every state in America, unfortunately. If you make a 10K a month, it will stretch, which is equals to 120, which after taxes now, because we don't include taxes, you're making maybe close to 105, maybe 100K. It will be good in certain states, but it's not good in all states. Let's get that straight. So that six-figure thing that the guy's talking about, or what she talking about, and she keeps things simple. She wants to do that. That's being a good sis and being productive. Working his job, keeping a job. Maybe if he gets a career, it'd be good, even better. That he's doing something that's a necessity for society, which is simple, nothing too complex. So I give Miss Blackwoman that credit. All right, let's look. Okay. Let's keep going, guys.
So one of the things you said earlier, you said that you don't necessarily care about the why, but for the sake of conversation, let's explore the why, right? So collectively, like you said, Black men make up the overwhelming majority of incarcerated, people, crimes, and the whole nine. Just from an intellectual, historic standpoint, what do you think happened?
What do you mean a historic standpoint?
Well, so the saying, if you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know where you're going, right? So like there's a lot we can learn from the past so we don't repeat mistakes. And there are a lot of things that are playing out now that are consequences of things that happened in the past. So just for the sake of like argument, what were the ripple effects that led to where we are now in the current state of Black America, particularly Black men? What do you think happened?
The same things that happened to Black men happened to Black women. Black men and Black women both come from the same history. Okay, we both we both experienced the same systemic problems. We both experienced the same systemic racism. The same systems that was set up for you to fail was also set up for me to fail. Because we're both Black. The same things that I could have fell into, you could have fell into. Because we both come from the same exact background. So that's why I'm like, this systemic problem is just like, I don't buy that anymore either. I did for a long time. I did, but I'm like, you know what? At this point in time, I don't understand how y'all are seeing all of these successful Black women that are, doing what they have to do, and you're still blaming history. I don't understand how that plays into it today.
Yeah. So permit me to make an argument, right? I used to think that as well. Because I'm Nigerian, and if you talk to most Nigerians, let me backtrack. One of the reasons why I think I've found success doing this, having these conversations, is because I've always been trying to bridge gaps. So one of the big conversations
Were you born in Nigeria?
I was born in Nigeria. So one of the big gaps is like Africans and the FBAs, they don't get along, right? So like this side is talking shit about this side. And a lot of times I'm bridging that gap because I deeply understand Black history. I'm not going to say like I'm the biggest scholar, but we do not give African Americans enough credit globally. So I'm going to say that with my chest. There would be no African doctors and lawyers and all the successes that we're finding in this country without the efforts of Black Americans. So at the very least, we owe them to understand their history. I say all that to say, in 2020, I lived in Baltimore, and I had a few dollars. So I decided, let me get a penthouse. So I stayed at a penthouse downtown. I was paying a pretty decent chunk of change for it. And I thought to myself, if for whatever reason I found myself locked out of my building, because it was an old like bank building or whatever, and I was on the top floor and you needed a key card to get inside. If I find myself locked outside that building and I was outside the building, and I was with a black, and we were both soliciting somebody who was going into the building to allow us in. Who do you think would enter the building first?
The woman.
Why?
Because she's a woman.
Yes. Now, when I really started understanding Black history as it relates to white supremacy, one of the things that I learned, and one of the things that's really insidious, is really still happening to this day, there's a concerted effort being made to keep Black men out of spaces.
And mind you, this man is a born Nigerian living here in America, and this is what he experienced from not only but what he observed, and from digging, understand the little history. And I want people to hear me out, and I want to be clear. When you study history, you must understand U.S. place where U.S. black men and black women stand in history, world history. Because to find their history, you'll find yourself in the history. That's what Arthur Schomburg told John Henry Clark this back when he was a boy, back in the 20s. Or late 20s, whatever you want to call it. And it still applies to today. If y'all notice, they're taking away a lot of information out of the books. If you look at most libraries nowadays, they're being slowly obsolete. Why? Because they don't want certain books or any information being there for the public, regardless if you support it or not. And the next step is you're going to start seeing certain books going to be hard to find. Because there's going to be a point that you're going to be seeking this information, and it's not going to be readily available unless you dig up for it or find some way to find it. And there's a conscious effort today to keep you away from spaces, black man. We knew this right. Now, the way to combat it is you got to create space of your own to combat this type of systematic attack towards you. But overall, it is there in place because women are less threatening, and women today under this Caucasoid are being used. So when you hear women say that black men's being used, no, they're not. The only person that being used today is black women being used against you, because he views the woman and will give her necessities, so that way it's against you. It is you how you combat this type of onslaught in all fronts. You're the king. He has the one king and a queen next to him. So your fight is going to be much harder in this Western world we live in today. Keep that in mind. Let's look at the comment section. I just said what's up to before the billionaires. And you're right, Quay Virtue, black women and black men do not have to face the same issues. I'm not sure what the hell she's talking about. Be a black man for a whole month or a year, and then come back to me. Okay. Okay. Queen of Virtue, because I am not some of the kind of tough guy, I had one 20-year-old Jamaican American girl tell me she wants a grown man. She was 19 with a 30-year-old man. I mean, I'm gonna keep the play. I'm gonna let that roll. One thing I would say, Sab Candy, if you're dealing with the foreign black women, the island chicks, and you should check out one of my streams about Beware of the Island Chick. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in my archives. I think you should listen to that. Be very cautious. And I need to update that, because now I know a lot of these women that's from different parts of the country, Africa, parts of the island, Jamaica especially, that they will use you and use you willingly, especially here, either getting a green card or they're hoping that you knock them up so you get some type of assistance. Because they know the system well. They teach foreign people, especially women, how to use the system to their benefit and possibly towards you if you're not careful. Let you know that. Well, if she's born here, it's even worse. Because let's be honest, you gotta look at her background, Psycho Kenny. If she is Jamaican, her parents not from here. So obviously she has a certain West Indian background. Keep that in mind. Let's keep going, guys.
And part of why that effort has been so successful is because white society created a brand around Black men. And that brand was actually established by D.W. Griffith's film, Birth of a Nation. He painted us as villains, as criminals in the imagination of the United States people. So that includes white women, white men, and also our women and our men as well. Sometimes I have to catch myself when I see a Black man and I'm like, I have to catch myself, even though I understand these things, but that programming affects me too, right? So I say all that to say, in this conversation, we cannot discount history. We cannot discount that mass incarceration is a product of vagrancy laws. When they freed the slaves, if you were caught loitering, they can imprison you and pretty much make you a slave again, because all it was about exploiting labor. Now, till this day, if you go into any elementary school, if you go into any grocery store, some of the meat that's being packed at the grocery stores, some of the desks that students sit and learn at the elementary schools are created and made and packaged by criminals. There is an incentive to incarcerate Black men. There is an incentive for schools to be in disrepair in certain communities. Now, when you say something like these things affect Black men and Black women alike, historically speaking, that's just not accurate, because your exploitation might be similar, but it's different. My exploitation is literally for my physical and nothing else. So I think, for me, I have to empathize with Black women in some of the ways that they're exploited for their beauty, for their style, for their lips, for their hips, the whole nine. I expect some of that empathy to be shown back to me. Do you think that's fair?
I do not think that Black men today are being incarcerated in high numbers unfairly or unjustly. I do believe that, can we talk about sentencing, mandatory minimums, maybe some of the laws around like how certain crimes are prosecuted. And again, I can sort of understand that, like, this system it does not put Black men in any sort of favor. They're not looking to help you.
We're making progress. Keep going. I'm sorry.
It's like it's not put on here to help you, but it's like Black men do not do themselves any favor. They themselves praise gang life and thug life and crimes and violence. Black men praise those things. Black men promote those things. Black men do those things. Black men have made that their own image. So it's like I at this point, as well as a lot of Black women, cannot continue to sit up here and still say that the white man or the white system or anything like that is more responsible for your image than you are. Black men, like, your image is in your hands, just like our image. Like, we had Black women had a negative, we still do. Black women have a negative stereotype and negative things that are associated with being Black women, but your image is in your hands. And to continue to blame white supremacy or prison laws or old stuff, like when Black men continuously participate in the way that they look and in the way that they are looked at. And you, even as an African man, because you're a Nigerian, you have a difference. You kind of have a different story to tell. You have a different walk of life and a different background. Because I've said this so many times, like the African immigrants, I've seen this more times than I can count in corporate, how the African immigrants come here and run circles, run rings around Black men.
That's for a reason. And
before he goes to reason, it goes back, and this is why I kind of respect Cerulean when he did the works he did, and I hope he does more content out here in this media outlet we call YouTube, that he tells you personally, the reason why other groups do well than people in America is because of the Foreign Aid Act. They get incentives and money, including people from another country that they going through war with another country right now are getting extra incentives coming here. They got a leg up. Most black people don't get legs up here. It don't exist. That's why you think right now. Why you think now that they're now having the reparation talk right now? Have y'all noticed this was put under the rug for the last 30 years when the HR something bill for reparation for black people? They just now starting to have negotiations and have certain states like California, last time I checked, are having discussion about this. And they're even going as far as trying to water it down, even from what I'm hearing right now. Why is this? Because it is the best interest for other nations and other race people to keep you their foot on your neck and keep sucking your blood. Because you are black people, especially black men, you are the prize. Without you, there's nothing of existence at all. Let me check. So let me keep playing. Let me see how much more time left on here. Yeah, I gotta keep playing because I don't want to push this any further. And I'm probably gonna read y'all comments before I wrap this up.
I think what I've been trying to get at is that is not because we are better.
No,
wrong.
I don't think it's because you're better, but I just think it's because you have higher stakes. You're not born and raised here.
No, that's not why either.
When you come here, when Africans come here and they hit the ground running, okay, they go through that whole immigration process. Okay, black men could easily take full advantage of the same things that African immigrants come here and take advantage of, but they don't.
It's not that simple. It's not that simple.
Why is it not that simple?
So, for instance, right? Because I like to look at things both ways. Back during, antebellum times, white supremacy created 3 black female tropes: the Jezebel, the Sapphire, and the Jezebel, Sapphire, and I can't remember the Mamie. Thank you very much. So the Mamie obviously is the motherly and Jemima. The Sapphire is the angry black woman, right? And then the Jezebel is the hoe. It's the Cardi B, archetype. And when I learned that, when I started to understand that and dig more into it, you start seeing how history repeats itself. You start seeing how unresolved and unrecognized history bleeds into the current day. And the reason I say that is I think it's important for black men to understand that. Understand how those tropes were created, how those tropes were encouraged, perpetuated. Like the Sarah Brotman, she was the Jezebel, the first Jezebel.
Sarah Bartman. He's talking about the woman from I don't know if it's Angola or some part of Africa. She's the one with the hot. I don't know if it's hot on top. No, I think I might be wrong. But let me keep playing.
Well,
No, actually, no, I'm right. Sarah Bartman. Yeah, she's the hot top Venus with the big behind. That's the one he's talking about. Yes, that's the one.
And these things were projected on black women, and what black women were put in situations where they had to exploit their sexuality to get anywhere. Black men need to empathize with that. Similarly, black men have been exploited for their physical labor since the moment this country was founded, whether it was their physical labor to literally build the country, whether it was their physical labor to fight and die for a country that didn't even recognize them as people, whether it's their physical labor.
Black men not also contribute to these stereotypes themselves.
Well, again, and that's why I think it's important that we talk about these things the right way, because I could very easily say black women contribute to those 3 stereotypes I just named, but it's bigger than that, because I cannot bring myself to believe, with my understanding of history, that black girls are born to be hoes or black boys are born to be criminals. So if we can both acknowledge that, do we not believe it's important, it's incumbent upon us as adults to investigate the systems that turn perfectly pure black male babies into these criminals and these Pookies and Ray Rays that we despise?
I think that this space in general, and actually, like, I need to know, I guess, because I'm not really sure like where.
Now, for y'all ladies and gentlemen that's listening to this conversation, did she really answer any of the questions? Or is she just playing around and playing with what the man just said? Have anyone noticed this? Have you noticed this, Queen of Virtue? Or Psychano, or anybody's listening? And I know y'all watching. People that's watching. Because I see it. See, the problem with a lot of our women today in the 21st century, they're not really looking at the elephant in the room, the actual person that's pulling the strings and causing the oppression. And I think a lot of our people are getting away from it, and it's become very prominent and dangerous. Because now we get into this finger point towards each other, but don't know there's someone behind causing the real problems that create the snare that while we fight and bickering, and we're refusing to really deal with the elephant room and really stop with the back and forths with each other. You didn't listen to it? Let me see if I can rewind it. I'm gonna rewind it for you, Queen of Virtue. All right, let me see if it gets to that.
Whether it was their physical labor to literally build the country, whether it was their physical labor to fight and die for a country that didn't even recognize them as people, whether it's their physical labor.
Men not also contribute to these stereotypes themselves.
Well, again, and that's why I think it's important that we talk about these things the right way, because I could very easily say Black women contribute to those three stereotypes I just named, but it's bigger than that, because I cannot bring myself to believe, with my understanding of history, that Black girls are born to be hoes or Black boys are born to be criminals. So if we can both acknowledge that, do we not believe it's important, it's incumbent upon us as adults to investigate the systems that turn perfectly pure Black male babies into these criminals and these Pookies and Ray Rays that we despise?
I think.
Do you get it, Queen of Virtue? Did you get that? He asked, is it really the system that's creating the atmosphere of creating these Black male babies to be criminals? Just like how same thing went with the system creating the lovely ladies into whores. Now here's her answer. And she gives an answer.
That I think that this space in general, and actually, like, I need to know, I guess, because I'm not really sure, like, where you are, where your channel is within this space. Like, so do you consider yourself a manosphere channel?
YouTube categorizes me as a manosphere channel.
Now, why is she not really understanding or really attacking what the man has just laid out? Because he goes straight to the source. And I'll be honest with y'all, and I want the brothers to hear me, and I want the sisters to hear me. If you're not really going straight to the source on YouTube, but you want to continue with the gender banging, especially as Black males, especially, I advise don't even listen to his content. I advise don't even have conversation with some people like that moving forward. Because when I'm hearing from this Nigerian man, and he already sees the forest within the trees, but a lot of Black people are getting away from that. Are they really getting away in good faith, or are they getting away from it because it does not make money? That's the question you should answer yourself. You should ask and answer personally.
I make conversation channel. So and that's why I watched some of your videos, because there were some things you said that I agreed with.
So but you haven't quite set up shop in the same neighborhood as the manosphere.
That's not my ministry. My ministry is getting Black men and Black women back together. Some people in the manosphere have a similar ministry. Other people, they are essentially male divestors, the SYW, whatever. That's not my ministry. Literally, I'm trying to teach people how to talk to each other. Black people specifically. I'm trying to teach Black men how to better understand in order to Black women. And I'm trying to encourage Black women how to understand, and as a consequence, love Black men. That's all I'm trying to do. Like, if you call that manosphere, SY, whatever, that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, no, I have to ask because a lot of these channels are in response to manosphere content, and even like manosphere adjacent, like people that continue to like push, lies and slander and stereotypes. And so,
yeah, that's counterproductive. That's not my ministry.
Well,
now, with that being said, from a marketing standpoint, I'm willing to exploit that. But ultimately, that's not what I'm trying to do. Yeah, right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Yeah, I am too. I was going to say that, like, there is. So one of the other stereotypes that Black women have kind of was projected onto Black women, even though plenty of women in America were on welfare. It sort of became projected that Black women was the sole survivors of welfare. We was the only ones out here on welfare.
Which is incorrect. It's not true.
Of course it's incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a stereotype that was projected onto Black women. And as much so, because this is the thing that I'm going to say about the system of supremacy or the system of exploitation. Okay, as it relates to Black men, Black women, and we may not have had the same exact exploitations because Black women may not have been used for their strength, but basically like our physical strength, but our assets and our attributes was still exploited. As Black women, we were exploited as well, just as Black men were, and it is kind of. Again, we're both fighting a system that was not set up in our favor.
Absolutely.
All right. But what Black men have done, they have, especially within this space, is that they've taken all of these problems and made them, Black women are the fault. Black women caused all of this. Black women chose the government over men, telling these stupid lies.
Well, from what I'm hearing, there are some people, like anything, they will choose the lesser of two evils, and they will take assistance and will do what the so-called devil tell them or the man tell them to do. There are scenarios that women have taken the assistance, unfortunately. Now, has it applied for all Black people? No. And let me tell you why. Because there are two different Black Americans. There are ones that are doing well, and there are ones that are not doing so well. So ones that are not doing so well, and you're together with this man, by default, you're probably going to be doing what the system tells you to do, and you're going to take either you get that man out the house, or you starve. And that's a conscious decision at the end of the day. But we don't have this conversation that there's two different Americans. Me and Mary have talked about this, not in lengthily, but I have mentioned, and he has explained out of his own mouth about two Americans. So that's something Black people should be looking into. That is, not all Black people are the same, unfortunately. All right, let's keep going.
I think you should spend some time in the comments that I respond to, because I respond to comments like that, and this is why I think it's very important that history is taught the right way and is taught accurately. Because
this space does not care about history.
Well, I think what's important for us to both understand and acknowledge is that the best thing white supremacy did for itself is turn potential allies into enemies, namely Black men and Black women, because we're fighting the same battle, but instead of fighting with each other, we're fighting against each other. And me specifically, and with the subscribers that I have and however much growth that I see, my mission is to really clarify who the enemy actually is. Because us bickering and fighting amongst ourselves and us scapegoating ourselves as the enemy, it does absolutely nothing. And the truth is, it's in line with the plan of white supremacy. One of the smart people that I admire, her name is Joy Dugree. I think she's a psychologist. She's a PhD. She wrote a book called Post-Traumatic.
PhD. That's bad news right there.
So one of the books she wrote is called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And in that book, she talks about how some of our behaviors as Black people in the present day are simply consequences of some of the behaviors we were forced to have during slavery. So, for instance, she uses the example of Black women now find it hard to compliment their sons or go along when, let's say you're at a PTA meeting and the teacher is saying, "Oh, your son's so smart, he's doing so good, everybody loves him," this and that. And she was saying that, most Black women would say, "Oh, him, he's just, that's just Corey, And she made the argument in her book that traces all the way back to slavery, because on the plantation, if your son was a standout in any way, it would result in him being sold to another plantation and your family being divided. So that disposition was passed down from great-great-great-great-grandma, and then great-great-great-grandma learned that from her, and great-great-great-great-grandma learned that from her. Same with our food, same with our way of speech, same with our disposition, same with our traumas. The other thing I learned about is called epigenetics. Epigenetics is literally genetic memory, the way that your body and your genes store trauma. And these traumas are passed down from mother to daughter, daughter to son, and it's passed all the way down. So when we're having these conversations as Black people, if we're not willing to engage with grace, we're not having an accurate conversation, because there's a lot to unpack and there's a lot of concessions. There's a lot of patience. There's a lot of grace that I must show you as a Black woman in light of what you have been through. And not just you specifically, but your mother, your mother's mother, your mother's mother's mother, that informs who you are. And I believe that men deserve that same grace, because I think we both agree that if I had a son tomorrow, he's not a bad person off top. We both agree my daughter is not a bad person off top. Things happen, nature versus nurture, that turn people into who they could potentially be and become, into who they are. So we have to have that conversation with historical context, with psychological context, with social context, with scientific context. Because if we just say we're not willing to add any context, we're not being honest.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's it. Let me put the timestamp on when that's at. All right. Write that down. And that's it. Let me remove this out the studio. And oh wait, somebody wrote something. Hi, can you make a video about Christianity Tabakusi Abu? I think I pronounced Abu Sin being murdered by Courtney Taylor Clemens. There's a video that surfaced today of her out roaming free, chilling at a hotel bar. Like, oh, I think you're talking about the African man that got killed by the white woman. Is that the one you? I think that's what you're saying. To be honest with you, I cover certain things, and that right there, I'm not sure if I could do it. I might. We'll see. My thing with a lot of videos like that, I think trends like that is trending for a more of a divisible agenda. And the reason I'm saying this to you, the Phil Gemini, is because what happened to that brother and the information that I found, because he's Nigerian descent, just like the brother that I was running on the audio that's Nigerian, he has a certain hatred for Black people, Black women especially. Just like most Black people, when they use social media very negative, they spew their toxicity and hatred towards the opposite sex and the opposite race. And I only cover very few videos on it personally. I'm not sure if I'm really come to the conclusion if I should cover that. Because I gotta see what's gonna happen to the lady, because now she's gonna try to plead insanity and get away from what she has done, which really is a crime, a criminal act, because you just don't go around this stabbing people up because what reason? Unless you were physically attack you, really, then obviously by all means you have to defend yourself. But from what I'm hearing so far, that is not the case. She went and deliberately murdered this man, and I'm not sure if I should really cover that personally. I did cover certain black women that got killed from non-black men. Yeah, I did that because that is evident. But like I said, we're not sure if people are getting justice overall. But I'll think about it. I'll think about it. There's no guarantee, but I'll think about it. But in wrapping up this video right here, and thank you for your comment. I appreciate the Phil Gemini. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. In conclusion, and this is I probably will do another part 2 of this. But let's be honest. Ladies, are you giving the man what he wants? Men are simple. Black men especially. And I think enough women are not doing so, and they refuse to and don't have no desire to do so because, let's be honest, they are conditioned in this society, the system, that everything should be catered to them and not give nothing in return. I think the brother lay out very strong points. He is in the business of seeing black people together as best as possible. He's not in the business of really focusing on other groups of people. And he's well maybe versed of the history and oppression of black people, not only in America, but other parts of the world. And he did a very well job of educating this lady or young woman. And she's kind of combating it because she don't see the forest between the trees. It don't say it's much bigger attention agenda. And you gotta be clear, majority of content creators today, unfortunately, are here to get a little back. So if they're creating anything of any turmoil to give you clickbaits to watch them when it deals with the opposite sex, they got your attention. And that was the whole intention, the whole goal. So I don't really see any change in that. You as a person that watched any of this content, including mine, always keep that in mind. I hope this was fulfilling. You got some out of this, my take on the scenario of this. Be on the lookout. I might do part 2 to maybe go further into it and maybe conclude on it. But I appreciate everybody that came in and watched today's stream. If you're new to Chaos Radio channel, thank you. And those who will be new to the channel, thank you and welcome to the Chaos Radio channel. And you know what to do, people. You hit that red button, and then hit that top notification, that top ding bell for uploads or live streams here on the Chaos Radio channel. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at ChaosRadio7. And you can now follow me on Facebook, Eric Rain on Facebook. And hit me up on Discord. Discord is on the About section on my YouTube page. If you have trouble trying to add me on Discord, leave a comment at the end of this video. Oh, and I'd like to see the comments of this video. Your take on it. I know it was lengthy, but it was somewhat important to me when I came across it. So, I'd like to thank everybody that was watching today's stream. I'd like to thank Psycho Candy, Queens of Virtue, Phil Gemini, a lot of people that watched it. And I'd like everybody else that, that subscribed or will subscribe to the channel. As you know, move forward, this is how I'll probably go about it. Unfortunately. But, gotta do what I gotta do, people. You know it is. I'm still pushing, striving, trying to get to that, that sweet spot. But like I said, you know where to find me, people. chaos reigns.